Ladies and gentlemen, now, guys, most people find, if you're gonna see someone on the street, you're gonna see someone that's really, really gorgeous, and you're like, holy cow, right? And you see them many, many times, at least one of their parents is not gonna look like them, right? Or maybe both, right? I'm not judging it at all here. This is just an observation. Like, look at Katy Perry, right? Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous girl. Her parents, not much to look at. I mean, they're great people, I'm sure. They just look a lot older than Katy Perry, obviously, and they're totally different. I'm not sure if she was adopted because she doesn't even look like her parents. But anyway, people's parents are that are not. If your parent is an entertainer, it's totally different than when they're not. I think in general, most people that are not entertainers or that are not performers are not going to care about their diet. They're not going to be like, oh, I got to. And some people are. No, don't get me wrong. Some people just don't want to perform, but they're really particular about how they look. But in general, you're going to find that people don't care about how they look or want to eat a lot because they're not performers, and they see performers as like suffering because they're starving themselves, or they're exercising so much or whatever, and they feel like, hey, one of the perks of not being a performer is to be able to eat what I want and do whatever, right? So a lot of people that are not performers are going to basically be, um, they allow themselves to eat when they want. They allow themselves to go to brunch twice that week instead of one exercise routine, right? Or whatever. They allow these things for themselves because that's what the fun is, right? For them, they are not feeling like they want to work out. They want to eat, right? Or they want to. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I'm not saying anything about being choosing eating over to exercise or dieting. Some people just don't want the restrictions of dieting. Some people just don't want the restrictions of always exercising and dieting, right? So in general, my dad, if you want to see my dad, Tommaso DiCurzio, Dicurzio, on YouTube, he's 78 years old and 84 in the two videos that are there. And he looks amazing, and he's like so much older than most people, but he looks really good. So it's like very much like a part of like basically when you see someone like that, you think, okay, obviously performer. He's a performer, so he's got to look good. He's got to take care of himself, right? And I got my dad's looks at Marco, obviously. I got my dad's looks, so I look very much like my dad. So I'm very happy about that. But the point I'm trying to make is when you see people that are drop dead gorgeous, you're like, they must be an entertainer, they must do this, they must do that. And then you see their parents, oh my God. But like Janet Jackson, for instance, her mom is very pretty, don't get me wrong, but she's overweight, and I'm sure she doesn't care. Janet Jackson's the entertainer. She's the one that's got to diet and exercise. She's the one that cares about how she looks, right? So it's just something I observe with entertainers, and it's not like all entertainers. There's got to be other entertainers, like plus size models, people with disabilities that are entertainers, people that do whatever. There's got to be other entertainers. So there is obviously, but it's just an interesting observation, and I find in general, it's not like some people will if they're entertainers or performers, they just find a way to include diet and exercise in their lives all the time. And like I said, there's obviously exceptions to the rule. Like Elton John gained a bit of weight. William Shatner's bigger. They look great, but they're bigger. So it's not a big deal. But the point I'm trying to make is most entertainers will definitely find a way to stay thin, as opposed to someone that they're friends with or that they know that maybe is like, I'm so glad I'm not entertaining the business because then I don't have to diet and exercise. Anyway, bye, nothing cute on. Wee.